Welcome back to the Transfer Show. Plenty was expected of Rasmus Hojlund when he arrived in the Premier League. Fair to say it hasn't happened for him so far. I mean, Rob, what's the latest on his future then?
Well, Napoli are still in talks, and our colleagues at Sky Italy feel that they're making pretty good progress. Di Marzio, who we know very well, is a bit of a transfer genius, is all over that one, and he thinks that the player wants to go to Napoli. I think what's interesting is that United have changed their strategy a little bit, and they don't want to let a lot of these players that are surplus to requirements from Ruben Amorim's point of view go on loan without there being some sort of substantive element to it. So United will let Hojlund go, but they want a permanent element to the deal. And I think that suits Hojlund as well. He, from what I'm hearing from his end, he wants a little bit of certainty in his future and where it goes from here. You know, a season on loan in Serie A and then coming back to Old Trafford is not ideal from him.
So an obligation to buy.
Well, but so Napoli seem to favour a loan with an option to buy. Okay. Manchester United are a bit more stringent. If it's not a loan with an obligation to buy, they'd certainly like it to be an obligation if there's a realistic, achievable goals, and that's where I think the discussions are focused at the moment. I think it's pretty similar with Garnacho, which Carve's a bit of an expert on. Yeah,
I mean, before we get on that show, Carve, we've seen Napoli revive players' careers. Not that Scott McTominay's career was particularly flagging, certainly going pretty well for Scotland, wasn't he? So this looks on paper like a pretty good move for Hojlund.
Brilliant move for him. I mean, he's going to live and work in Naples. He's going to play in front of some of the most passionate supporters in the world, in one of the best grounds in the world. They're the Italian champions. They're in the Champions League. They're managed by Antonio Conte. He would be playing with Kevin De Bruyne, with Scott McTominay, with Billy Gilmore. You know, it's like it's a dream come true. I wish I was going with him. Unfortunately, there's no offers from Sky Italy for me.
You're stuck with us, mate. I'm sorry about that. Sorry.
But this is incredible. It could be a real sort of zero to hero story for him, because we've seen the way Napoli supporters have taken to Scott McTominay. If he goes in there, and Romelu Lukaku's injured at the moment, so he would start. He would be the main man. If he goes in there and starts scoring goals again, I think there will be murals going up of him all around Naples.
Do you think it's an easier league to score goals in if you're Rasmus Hojlund than the Premier League?
Oof. He's asked you some stinkers today, hasn't he?
Well, given that, I mean, traditionally, Italian defences, things like that, we're seeing it's pretty tough to break through. But the Premier League, you know, some players come in, and Hojlund being one of them, expected big things, hasn't quite happened. Is he more suited to Serie A?
Well, he's played there before.
And done well.
So, yeah, he's done well. So he's got the experience of playing there. Napoli will be set up to get the best out of him. He will be the main man. Yes, of course, he's going to have pressure playing in front of those supporters, but it'll be a different kind of pressure. Unfortunately, you know, great things were expected of him at United. It hasn't worked out for him. United spent a lot of money on him. But the flip side is that he's still really, really young. I think if he grabs this opportunity, if Napoli can do a deal with United, then it could be a fantastic move for him. And he can show the world what kind of player he really is, because we just haven't seen his best at this United side. But he's not the only player who's come to United and struggled.
Yeah, I think that's true. I mean, look, a lot of young players go to Manchester United, and the theatre of dreams can be pretty intimidating for any player. And it hasn't quite worked for Hojlund at a time when Manchester United have been in the doldrums. It's not a normal Manchester United move, is it, for a player like that? And we've seen
service has probably not quite been the same as it would have been when Beckham
and confidence levels, and you know, it's difficult for young players to sometimes, you know, be expected to be the talisman for a team when you're still developing yourself. And we've seen it happen so often with Manchester United. I wouldn't be surprised if Hojlund left Manchester United and went and scored a hatful of goals wherever he goes next. And United fans will turn around and go, why couldn't he do that for us?
Of course, United won't recoup all the money they paid for Rasmus Hojlund. I think the same could be said, Carve, for Antony, who's another man who's struggled at the Theatre of Dreams. You've got news on him.
Yeah, I mean, from a human sort of perspective, he's had a really difficult time at United. He just wants to, you know, put it all behind him. He was on loan in Spain with Real Betis last season, had a good time there, got to the conference final against Chelsea, which unfortunately, from their point of view, they lost. But, you know, United have spent 86 million pounds on him when they signed him from Ajax. There's no way they're going to be getting anything like that back. But they are in talks with Betis again about him moving back there. I think obviously Betis are being quite clever because they know they're going to get a better deal closer and closer to the deadline, but it looks like he'll be moving back there.
OK, so they're people that players that Ruben Amorim wants out. How about more incomings? Rob, the goalkeeper situation, what's news there?
Look, goalkeeper wasn't a priority position for Manchester United in this summer window. It's been made pretty clear to me that they think they've had a good window. They looked at the stats. Manchester United's strategy now, with all of the people they've got in the right places, is that they want to focus on the data. They want to look at the stats that tell them where they need to improve. And all of those stats were telling them they didn't score enough goals last season. And so that's why they spent over £200 million on 3 new forward players, when a lot of Manchester United fans, I think, were calling out for midfielders and centre-backs, maybe. They are calling for a new goalkeeper now. And whilst it wasn't at the top of Manchester United's priority, they see Senny Lemons as a really good option at Royal Antwerp, and he might cost just over £17 million. And I think United's recruitment guys are thinking that's too good an opportunity to miss, to buy up somebody of his talent and strengthening the goalkeeping group for the long term. It's far from certain that he'd come in and be Amorim's number 1, and you've got to remember that Andre Onana is expected to leave for the Africa Cup of Nations and miss most of December and January. So they're going to be a goalkeeper down for 2 key months of the season. That's why they're interested. I think they'll get the deal done. But it sounds like Antwerp want to delay it a little bit and make sure that they get the full value for him. So negotiations ongoing as things stand.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all for data. And I'm all for improving a forward line if it suggests, that data suggests that the goals haven't been coming. But a lot of Manchester United fans are saying that they need a midfielder because they don't have legs, particularly in that kind of number 6 position where there's quite often 2 of them playing against 3 in there. Forget your inverted fullbacks and stuff. So don't they need to find that position as well? And then that can then lead to patterns of play that will help goal scoring as well.
That sounds spot on.
There's no data there. That's just a bit of common sense.
Well, and that's what a lot of Man United fans are feeling.
Like a data analyst.
It was really quite impressive, that, wasn't it? But it's also, listen, he's also copying Gary Neville here, because that's what Gary Neville said.
I didn't know that. Monday night. That was all my own work.
That's exactly what Gary Neville said. And so if you're agreeing with Gary Neville and a lot of Manchester United fans agree, then I think that's a fair point. My understanding is that United know that they can't solve all of their problems in one transfer window. And so they're almost breaking it down and trying to be very strategic about this. And the focus for this window was up front. And they've brought in 3 world-class players, haven't they? In Benjamin Šeško, Brian Mbeumo and Mateus Cunha. For 200.
They haven't scored yet.
No, they haven't.
It's good data.
That's good data.
It's good data.
0 goals. It's early.
What about the XG, though?
Well, exactly. He'll tell you. He'll know. He'll know that. So look, my understanding now is that United would still like to be active in the last 6 days of this window. And that's having sorted out their forward line as far as they see it and their attacking options. Now's when they're looking at goalkeepers and midfielders. I wouldn't be surprised at all if they brought a midfielder in before the window closes, but that may rely on what we've just been talking about, getting Antony out, getting Garnacho out, getting Hojlund out. Yeah. They need to clear some players out of a huge squad, a bloated squad, and they need to free up some money as well. If they do that in the next couple of days, I think they could be busy in the last few days in terms of incomings.
Yeah, we will watch this space. Man United's goal scorer this season, Rodrigo Muniz of Fulham, with an own goal. Now, we will get...
Then, guys, on Manchester United, I wanted to say something in this video as well, because, first of all, I keep receiving many questions on Bruno Fernandes going to Saudi, many rumours. We started with Al Hilal, now we continue with Al Ittihad. We spent basically the whole 3 months of the summer transfer window with Bruno and Saudi and Bruno. But, guys, at the moment, there is nothing really advanced into it, nothing really concrete. The appreciation from Saudi for Bruno Fernandes is from 2 years ago, not 1 week, not 1 day, not 1 hour, not 1 year. It's 2 years ago when they started calling for Bruno, meeting his agents. They tried in every way to bring Bruno Fernandes to Saudi. But Bruno is happy at Manchester United. Then, if you ask me, in the future, has Bruno any chance to join Saudi Pro League? I think yes, because they've always been there and they will return to the table, for sure, because they love Bruno Fernandes. His quality, his leadership, so they will return. But at the moment, it's not something close or imminent to happen for Bruno to join Al Ittihad. So at the moment, Man United keep thinking that at the end Bruno will complete this season of the club, and then we will see. From 2026, what happens is it's too early to say. Then on Manchester United, guys, conversations continue for Senny Lemons. Man United okay on player side, but still working on club-to-club agreement with Antwerp. They want 25 million euros. Man United started at 17 plus 3. Antwerp always said 20 minimum guarantee to arrive around 25 package. Let's see if Man United and Antwerp can reach an agreement for Senne Lammens, but there is a conversation ongoing. He's the goalkeeper wanted. And I keep repeating also today that despite all the reports we are having, Andrea Onana at the moment is not negotiating with any club. Andrea Onana is not in active talks. We had reports on Monaco, but they signed Radecki. We had reports on Inter return, but Inter are not looking for a goalkeeper. We had reports on Saudi clubs, but it was in May. In May he had some approaches from Saudi, but then June, July, August, very calm around Andrea Onana. So at the moment, nothing imminent happening, nothing close to happen, nothing I expect or anticipate to happen very soon for Andrea Onana. So the idea of Man United, if they can agree a deal with Antwerp, is bring in Senne Lammens, trust him as goalkeeper for present and future, and then from the future years we see what happens with Andrea Onana. Then if something happens for Onana, guys, don't forget that the Turkish market, the Saudi market, close around the 10th of September, so they have more time compared to European clubs to go for Andrea Onana. So if something happens, we'll be here to tell you, but at the moment Man United are not signing Lammens because Onana is leaving. Man United want to sign Lammens. If they can get Lammens done, then at that point we see what happens with the other goalkeepers, but it's not something imminent or something guaranteed for Onana or also for Bajindir.
United fans, in this video we address the ongoing negotiations at Manchester United. There are several negotiations underway. I believe the club urgently needs a decisive midfielder who will be the team's star. The club has the money for this, but it lacks the courage to hire. Bruno Fernandes seems to have his days numbered, just as Hojlund is leaving. As more news comes out, I'll bring it to you firsthand. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Let's go United!